Well, welcome. Oh, I'm going to talk really loud. Josh, can you maybe turn me down a little bit? Okay. Welcome to virtual interview training. This is the first time that I've done this training with Tricarical or with anyone really, so bear with me. I'm going to go through some of this and hopefully not mess it up too bad. I'm Rebecca Cameron, as you were told. I'm your HR contact for Central Services. And Tricarical is our talent management coordinator. As we go through this training, you guys might have some questions if you want to write those down. If they're not answered during the training, there will be time afterward for some questions. I believe we'll have time for that. So let's get started. What is virtual interviewing? For those of you who have not had the pleasure of going through a virtual interview, it is the most technologically advanced way for HR to torture applicants. I went through it 4 months ago, and it was pretty torturous. So what we're hoping to do today is really give you guys an understanding about what it is and make you feel more comfortable with it. Tricarical will go through the entire process and give you hopefully an opportunity to see the benefits for virtual interviewing and how you can take those benefits and apply it to yourself and furthering your career. The real answer to the question is virtual interviewing is a method for conducting an interview using a computer, camera, and internet access to respond to a series of questions. Pretty basic. It's a way for the hiring managers to evaluate a candidate initially in the process. So initial interviews, we're going to compare them a little bit. We're going to compare traditional interviews and virtual interviews. Traditional interviews, round one usually takes between 30 and 60 minutes of on-the-spot questions. So they'll ask you questions, and you are on the spot to answer those questions right away. Versus a virtual interview where you're speaking for about 10 to 15 minutes, and you're answering questions that are spoken to you, and then you have time, and Tricarical will go over more of this, but you have time to actually prepare your answers. So there's a little bit of a difference there. The traditional interviews, you travel to us, or you travel to whatever job it is you're applying for. Versus virtual interviews, essentially we go to you. We can show up in your home, basically, and you can do your interview in a comfortable place for you. Traditional interviews, we schedule the interview. It is based on the hiring manager, the panel, and as you all know, conference rooms. Wherever there's a room available, that can get very complicated. Versus a virtual interview, you schedule the interview. It's on your time. You can, if it's midnight and that's the quiet time in your house where you can sit down and speak clearly in an interview, you can do it at that time. There's no time constraints put on these interviews. The interview process, we all know the interview process, no matter what the interview process is, it is stressful, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that. In traditional interviews, you wish you did not have to go through the process. You feel sick, you get sweaty, your heart is pounding. You're really happy when it's over, and a lot of times you feel like you did a terrible job. That's going to happen in any traditional. You walk into a room and you have a panel of people like this, hopefully not this many, and you have to answer questions like that. But with virtual interviewing, all of those things are still the same. You're still going to feel the same way. You're still going to feel sick. You're still going to have those sweaty palms, and your heart is still going to be racing. Like I feel right now, kind of all of those things. I can attest for all of these feelings. I feel the same way every time I interview. And I'll tell you, being on both sides, I've conducted a lot of interviews also, and I'll tell you that the interviewers know that you feel that way. They understand that you feel that way. They've been through it themselves before. So you can take that and hopefully feel a little better about it. From the candidate's perspective, traditional interviews have challenges. Scheduling the interview, taking time away from work to interview. If you're looking for a new position, anyone that's looking for a new position, usually you're not just applying to one. Most people are applying to multiple positions or opportunities. Think about how much time that is taking out of your work week. you only have one chance to answer the question. When you're in a traditional interview and you're asked a question, you have one opportunity to answer that question. Very rarely can you say, I want to reset and start over and have them forget everything that you just said. Recovering from a misspoken word. I once had an applicant tell me in an interview that they were interested in the position because they needed the money because they were in financial distress, which is not the best answer to the reason for wanting a position, but this position we were interviewing them for was as a financial advisor. And so that, while that might not knock you out of an interview normally, traditionally, in that instance, it was pretty apparent that that person wasn't the best to put in front of customers with money, right? So, had that person had the opportunity to think about the question prior to just answering honestly, which is good to answer honestly, but maybe he would have formed his words a little bit differently. You can't recover from that. The desire to be treated fairly and have a level playing field. Cost of attending an interview. Travel costs for many people, it's not necessarily something you think about if you're interviewing for a DCBS position and you work here already, but if you're outside of that, it could be pretty costly to travel to an interview and then pay for parking and possibly a ticket if that's the case. So the elephant in the room. Ooh. The elephant in the room. I know, isn't it cute? We're going to talk about the criticisms of virtual interviewing. For the candidate, technology, computer access, having the ability to actually get on and do an interview. For the employer, software upgrades and maintenance can be costly and time-consuming. The big one, awkward and impersonal. You're talking to a camera, not a human being. You're unable to read the panel. You're unable to learn more about the position or the culture of the team that you would potentially be working with. So those are the big criticisms, and I think they're all fair. Facts. The facts. I can't see that far to read. Traditional hiring methods take about 45 days on average to hire. I think that's maybe on the low end. I would say closer to 60. Virtual interviewing significantly reduces the days to hire. That is a fact. According to one Harvard study, 80% of employee turnover can be linked to faults in the hiring process. Therefore, we should not shy away from engaging in at least 2 rounds of interviews. For hiring managers, I think that's a given, but maybe for applicants, that one's a little bit tough. It's better to be in front of the hiring panel multiple times and not just be judged on one half-hour conversation. Using virtual interviewing in round 1, a hiring manager is able to manage the recruitment process at a fraction of the cost. I'm going to talk about now the benefits of virtual interviewing. It's more productive. The interview screens can be done, more interview screens can be done. You can have far more candidates available to screen. The hiring manager doesn't have to narrow their pool as far and could potentially give an opportunity to someone else who may be overlooked. It is convenient, very convenient for both the hiring manager and the applicant. Answers can be recorded and reviewed at any time by any number of panel members, and those panel members don't need to be in the same place at the same time. Economical. Significant cost savings when you use virtual interviewing as one of your interview rounds. It is green, we all love that word. Eliminates the carbon footprint associated with travel. And you have the ability to screen remote candidates, and it opens up the candidate pool. So what are people saying about virtual interviewing? How many of you know Barry Leslie? Some of you. I don't know Barry Leslie, but Barry Leslie said, what would have taken me 3 days only took me 3 hours. She used to be the former administrator of Orham? Marketplace? Okay. So here's some comments from actual applicants that have participated in virtual interviewing. Thank you. Thanks for making this process easy. I was able to use my phone and do it at home, which is great for them. I hate technology, and I don't want to participate in an interview that is so impersonal as to talking to a camera. How many of you in this room use technology in your jobs now? Some of you don't. Wow. How important is it to you that your coworker can use basic technology? Yeah, I think it's pretty important. Yes, it is impersonal for the applicant. Yes, they have less opportunity to connect. And yes, they have to rely on technology. These things are all true, but they aren't necessarily bad. At DCBS, every position at DCBS has to have some sort of basic technology, and this is a really good assessment of whether they can handle that or not. I appreciated the respect shown to me as a taxpayer. This is a very efficient way to participate in a first-round interview process, and I like knowing you are saving the state money. As a taxpayer and new to state, I actually completely agree with that statement. I like being able to schmooze the panel and read their body language. Virtual interviews restrict me. Traditional interviews can actually favor those people who are more extroverted, more outgoing. And it can be a barrier or a disadvantage to those who are more introverted. So virtual interviewing kind of levels the playing field a little bit. It was great having 3 chances to answer a question. That doesn't happen in a real interview. I liked being able to give my best answer after practicing. Tricarico will show you how to do that in a little bit. I just got done updating my PD 100 only to find that you now use something called eRecruit. Why do you always have to change this? Virtual interviewing needs to go away. I just don't like it. Well, I don't even think that's accurate anymore because eRecruit went to NeoGov and now it's Workday. So I would say to anyone who has that issue, the only constant thing in life is change, right? And it's going to continue to go that way. I didn't have to drive down from Vancouver. I didn't have to tell my boss I needed time off for an interview, and I didn't have to pay for gas. Best of all, I didn't get a parking ticket like I did last time. I actually didn't put enough in my meter when I was interviewing at DCBS, and I almost got a ticket myself. But the meter gods were on my side that day. Something to think about, time. A person who dares to waste an hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Virtual interviewing saves time all around. And really, I ask you, what will you do with that time? Maybe spend it preparing for the virtual interview, right? So that's virtual interviewing, the benefits and the criticisms and things like that. But now we're going to kick it off to Tricarico, and she's going to show you exactly how to use it best.
Thank you. All right. So how many of you have actually done a virtual interview? I'm kind of curious. Okay, cool. And how many of you thought it was like the worst thing ever, right? Yeah, fair enough. It's not fun. I get that. And that's why we're doing this today, is we really want you to feel more comfortable with this process. So we're going to look at basically what the whole process looks like start to finish from your perspective. So those of you who haven't done it before know what to look for. And those who have, maybe you can pick up some tips and tricks along the way to help you be more prepared next time. So we're going to look at the email invitation so you know what to look for. We're going to watch their little tutorial, which is always fun. We're going to look at the introduction video and exit video, which is naturally part of the process as we go through it. And then we're going to have some examples, and those are going to be really fun. We have one really, really good example, and we have one really, really bad example. And that'll be, I think, a lot of fun for us to see that comparison. Okay, so I apologize, this is kind of small, but there's some key elements that you're going to see in a Workday message from me. So before we had Workday, we were typically sending out these messages to your email. So this is a reason why it's really important to check your Workday inbox regularly, especially if you're applying for jobs. So the key parts of this message are that you're going to have, the top part's going to tell you what you're applying for, right? Because if you've applied for a lot of things, maybe you don't remember. Word of advice, sometimes it can be hard to get the position description or that posting after it's closed. So if you get this email and you're panicked and you're like, I have no idea what this job is, email me. I can get you that information and make sure that you are prepared and you have all the information you need. And then we've got the other super important part of this, which is the deadline. It's almost always at midnight, 11:59, and I will always tell you, please do not wait till the last minute. I really want you to have your best chance, and I don't want you to be stressed out trying to do it at 10 o'clock at night and you've got countdown. Don't do that. So when you see this, set up a time. Come talk to me. Email me. Do whatever it is you need to do to get prepared. Because if something happens, which we all know when we wait till the last minute, that's when something happens, right? Your internet crashes. I remember one lady was like, there was a lightning storm and my power went out. I mean, what's the chances, right? Let's not even gamble with that. So contact me ahead of time, try to get your interview done ahead of time. If you do it ahead of time, I will check and make sure that I can see your video, I can hear your voice, nothing is completely out of whack, you didn't get cut off. If something happens beyond your control, I can reset it for you as long as the deadline is still open. So that's why the deadline is really important to pay attention to, other than missing out on it entirely. You've also got some contact information for the interview stream customer service. Obviously, I am not here after 5 o'clock like the rest of you, so if it's outside of work hours, you can actually contact them, so if something does happen, they can help you. Sometimes they may not be able to, but if it was like a technological glitch, they'd be another resource to get help. And then lastly, we have kind of some basic information. You can do this with a phone, you can do it at home on your computer. There's a lot of ways to get this done. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it here or at home, you can also do it at WorkSource Salem. They have a room dedicated for that. That room also is used for adjudication, so you'd want to book it ahead of time. Again, don't do this last minute. But they do have that space, so maybe you can feel a little more comfortable if you don't want to do it here. We encourage you to do it at home because that's going to probably be where you're most comfortable. And we'll talk about some strategies on how to make that happen. But again, if you're ever having issues, come talk to me because I want you to have the best interview, not a last minute or a stressful interview. And of course, my contact information, so you can do that. So you will actually get 2 messages, one in Workday telling you, hey, I'm going to send you an email, and then the actual invitation from InterviewStream, and this is what it looks like. So again, it's going to tell you the position, who it's with, and it's going to tell you about how long it will take you. This one says 30 minutes because this invitation was for our virtual mock interview, which is 10 questions, 3 minutes each. Now, we all know that 10 questions, 3 minutes each in the real world doesn't necessarily mean 30 minutes. So when you get that invitation, add a little extra time. You know, maybe you're going to want to take some notes, maybe you're going to pause, maybe you're going to get interrupted. So make sure you have the full time to go through the whole interview. I was actually just on the phone with someone this morning who didn't do that and tried to go back in, and she lost some of her answers. So don't try to come back and do it later. I would encourage you to just go through the whole process and then verify that it's done with me. Okay, so now we're actually going to go through the process. I have a camera up here. I'm going to record myself doing it. I'm not going to go through like the whole answer, just to show you what it looks like, and we'll talk about some strategies. So the first thing that I would do when I got that email is I would get ready, right? If I don't have the position description or the posting, like I said, email someone, get that information. The best way to combat nerves in any interview is to be prepared, right? Because usually in the real world, when we're on the job, we don't get pulled in and asked some random interview question, unless you're me, because that happens to me all the time. Robert likes to do that to me. But you're not me, so you don't have to worry about that. In the real world, you will have time to prepare. You will have resources. You'll be able to talk to your team. So having a virtual interview gets to mimic that a little bit because you get that time to prepare. So think about some of the questions. Look at those requested skills. What are they looking for? How do your skills align to that? And that's a whole other workshop I could go into. But if you ever want to sit down and look at that, you can do that with me. That's what I do. Okay, then I would make sure that I have a good setup. So I've got my camera here. You can also do it on your phone, but do us all a favor and don't do one of these, right? Because that's a really good shot of your nose, and I don't really want to see your nose. I want to see your whole face. So you want to make sure that the camera, wherever that is eye level. This one's actually pretty good for standing. It's going to be pretty close to eye level when we're recording, and we'll be able to adjust it, right? If you do use your phone, like prop it up against something so it's steady rather than trying to hold it, because your arm is going to get tired and you're slowly going to do this or you're going to do this, or right? Like no one wants to hold their phone for 15 minutes. So if you're going to use the phone, just have a good setup. Practice with your camera. Most of our smartphones have a recording feature, so you can see what that looks like and decide, do I have good quality here, or do I need to reserve a room or get a camera for my computer? So make sure your setup is good. The other thing to think about, which we can't address today, is the background. The background, for me personally, is so distracting. I've seen interviews with like a pile of teddy bears in the background, and it's just, I can't even focus on the answers because I'm like, I do have so many teddy bears. So, which teddy bears are great, no judgment there. But it is really important to be professional. So if you can, choose a blank wall, choose a window with like a neutral curtain, and be conscious of what you're wearing and what's contrasting. Like if you're the same color as the wall, again, that could be distracting or just not look super great. I would encourage you to wear like a solid color, maybe nothing too bright, something that contrasts your skin tone, because stuff that looks good in life sometimes doesn't look super great on camera. If you have questions about that, I'm pretty big into camera stuff like that, so just let me know. I've done a lot of that stuff. And I do it all the time for this, which I feel kind of, with rainbow glasses, I don't know if that's a little hypocritical, but thank you. I've heard it puts people at ease. I think they think it's a joke, which is even better. So, that works. And then just be mindful of, ambient noise. We understand life happens. Maybe your dog starts barking, or, I had one lady get interrupted by her grandkids. It happens. That's why we have the redos. If you're really struggling, again, you can use the room. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm trying to think. Oh, the impersonal part. So a lot of people are like, I don't want to stare at a camera the whole time. I want to look at a face. So there's a couple options to combat that. One is put a picture of someone next to your camera, right? Someone you like talking to, right? It sounds weird, but it's going to help it be more natural. I heard one applicant ask her husband to stand behind the camera, sit behind the camera, so she could talk to him. So she feels like she's talking to a person, right? So ask for help. Look for some techniques that will help you feel more comfortable, because again, we know that just talking to a little screen is like, you're probably going to sound like a robot because you're staring at an object, and that's not super great. But we also know that. We know what it's like. Like Rebecca said, we take into consideration the fact that you don't need to have camera skills or be like this weather announcement kind of person to do your job, right? We just need to hear what you have to say. So don't stress about it too much. Okay, so let's take a look at what this actual process looks like. Hopefully this will, let me do it. And if you're doing this at work, make sure that you do the link outside of Citrix. Citrix does not like virtual interview for some reason. Okay, so you're in your email, you click your link. Maybe I should switch to Chrome. Come on. I would suggest Chrome. It's a little bit faster. Try that one more time. Go through all the fun steps of connecting to the interwebs. Another reminder why we shouldn't do this last minute, right? Because who knows what's going to happen. Okay, so you're always going to be asked to enter your email. This is just so that you don't get to do it twice. That wouldn't be fair. And whatever you type in here is what shows up. So it's going to be how I find you in the system if I need to find your response. Okay, so this video is kind of just their little logo thing. And then we have a little introduction, which is helpful.
In this video, we'll cover best practices, how to start, and how to complete
Josh,
your
can you help me
video
turn the
interview.
volume up a little bit?
Make sure you read through our list of best practices before beginning. Position your webcam.
Thank you. Okay.
In this video, we'll cover best practices, how to start, and how to complete your video interview. Make sure you read through our list of best practices before beginning. Position your webcam at eye level. Turn on all available lights in the room to ensure you're well lit. Be mindful of your background. It should be professional and not distracting. And make sure your recording space is quiet and comfortable. Click Next. The company you're interviewing with may have provided videos about the company culture and the job you're interviewing for. Watch the About Us videos and click Next to move on to the connection test. If you don't have any About Us videos to watch, you'll be brought to the connection test. Connection test will ensure the system is running properly on your computer. Start by selecting your camera and clicking Allow. Next, click your microphone. You'll notice a volume meter. Speak normally and adjust the slider left or right until the meter peaks the red line. Finally, make sure your connection test meets the download and upload bandwidth requirements. Click the Need Help link for support contact information if you're unable to pass a connection test. Once your connection tests are complete, click Next to proceed. The Get Started screen shows you the position you're interviewing for, the number of questions in the interview, the number of retries you'll have, and the amount of time you'll have to respond to each question. Click Start the interview to begin. The interview begins with a video intro. Once the intro is finished, the first question will be asked. The interviewer asks the question, and you'll be prompted with a countdown before answering. Your response automatically starts recording. Remember to look into the camera and speak clearly. Once you've finished answering the question, click anywhere to stop recording. You have 3 options before proceeding. You can review your response, and if the interview settings permit, you can retry, which will overwrite your previous response, or you can submit your answer. After you've submitted your final response, the system automatically submits your recorded answers. Keep your browser open while the responses are being uploaded. You'll receive an email confirming that your interview has been uploaded successfully. Thank you for watching this video tutorial, and good luck interviewing.
Okay, another thing they mention here is proper lighting. So that one is really common that people don't quite get right. You want to have a light that's facing you, behind your camera. Because if your light is behind you, you kind of have the whole evil villain look going on because your face is dark, which if that's your aesthetic, go for it. However, it's a little bit easy for us to see you and see your face and see your great answers if the light is in the front. Again, if you have questions about lighting or specifics, feel free to come talk to me about that. So the other nice thing is that this does test your equipment before you move forward. So right now, if we got to this point and we were like, oh my gosh, this isn't working, panic, what do? You could exit out, you could still come back and complete the interview. So as you can see, here I am talking, we've got some audio, so we know we're good to go.
I'm distracted by the person in your background.
Exactly, right? Not a super great background. So I didn't bring my little pop-up thing.
Maybe to hold the flag out?
Yeah, that actually would be really nice, right? Have the Oregon flag. So just try to pick a background that's not distracting and easy for us because we're all human and we all get distracted. Yeah?
I just want to recommend one of the videos we watched. Someone was sitting in a rocking chair.
Oh,
And
gosh.
Actually, when you're in a rocking chair and you're in an interview,
Yes.
you're nervous. I was seasick by the time.
Yes, we had a recent one like that where the person was in the wheelie chair and they were like doing one of these the whole time and I just couldn't focus because they were doing this the whole time and they probably had no idea they were doing it. So yes, think about those things. Watch your videos again to make sure you're really catching any of those things. In general, if you want to get better at interviewing, be on camera. I know that's probably not what you wanted me to tell you is the secret to getting good at interviews, but it really is because we're our own worst critics, right? And when we see ourselves on camera, we're like, wow, I am gesturing a lot. That is super weird. Or, oh my gosh, I touched my glasses like 15 times in 10 seconds. What the heck? And so you'll notice those things and you'll get better. But again, no one is expecting a perfect, polished, look at me, I'm on camera kind of person, right? Okay, so we've decided our audio is good, our video is good. We're gonna go ahead and click next. Now, this is the point of no return, okay? That orange box is you need to go through this and get this done. So again, if anything comes up, don't go past this part, talk to me, we'll figure it out. So we only have one question and we have 3 minutes. The magic number at DCBS is 3. You always have 3 minutes to respond and 3 attempts, okay? If you don't see that, let me know because that means I did something wrong. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go for it. So,
Hello,
this is what you'll see.
I am Tricarico, and I am the Talent Management Coordinator for the Department of Consumer and Business Services. On behalf of the agency, I want to thank you for your participation in this virtual interview. In a moment, you'll be asked some questions specifically related to the position you applied for. Please remember to relax, smile, and answer the questions to the best of your ability. Thank you again for your participation in this interview process. Tell us about yourself and why this position is a good fit for you.
Okay, and I did not realize this immediately goes into it. You have 3 seconds to answer, and now we're recording. Oh my gosh, that's really overwhelming for me. So what I usually do is I just throw away that first attempt. If you're the person who can easily respond, and you can do that off the cuff answer, great, go for it. Maybe you get a great answer. But if you're like me, you like to prepare. So at this point, I would be like, okay, what do I want to tell about this interview? What are some points I want to do? I might practice. I might write some things down. If you want to write some stuff on a piece of paper and tape it next to your camera, if you'll notice, that's what I was doing in that intro. I do not have that memorized. Okay? I am looking at a script and I am bouncing back and forth between the camera and that script. And we can tell you're doing that. It is okay. Again, in your real world, you are not going to be asked to have something right off the cuff. You're going to have time to prepare. You're going to have answers. So it's okay to have those answers with you. Now, we can review this and watch the last few seconds that we did to make sure.
You have 3 seconds to answer.
Sounds
and
a
now
little
we're
weird 'cause we're
recording.
presenting.
Oh my gosh, that's really overwhelming for me. So what I usually do is I just throw away that first attempt. If you're the person who can easily respond,
Okay, so we know that we can see me. The lighting's not super great. It's a bit dark. Sound's not super great. So we can make those adjustments if we need to, okay? Now, this is the part where people really mess up. The review, retry, and continue buttons. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a response of someone just staring at the camera like this for 5 seconds, and then they've clicked and they submitted it. Oh my gosh, what do? You email me, and I can reset it for you, okay? I'm not gonna reset it because it's the 3rd time and you said one word wrong, right? Because I need to be fair to all the candidates. I can't just reset it because you don't have the perfect answer. But if you really did mess up or there's something really out of your control, we can reset it for you. We can reset just one question or can reset the whole interview, okay? So just be mindful when you're clicking, don't accidentally click that continue button until you have the answer you want. And again, please review it and make sure. I do not like reviewing myself on camera. It is not fun, but it will help you make sure you're giving your best answer, okay? Now, we only had one, so that's easy. We're gonna go ahead and submit that clip of me talking about panicking, and we're gonna make sure that we wait until it loads.
well, that's it for now. Thank you for your participation in this interview process. Please allow time for the selection committee to review your interview. Once candidates have been selected to move forward in the process, those individuals will be contacted. Thank you again for your interest in the Department of Consumer and Business Services.
And that's it. It's uploaded successfully, you're good. Now, when you see this screen, please do not call me right at that second and say, is my interview uploaded? Because it's not. It takes about an hour for the process to get fully uploaded. And if you call me in a panic, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's not there, do it again. Don't do that. Just give it some time, but wait about an hour. You can always email me and say, hey, when you have a chance, can you review this? I do try really hard to review them as they come in so that I can catch something that you may not have noticed, maybe something went wrong. And I'll let you know, hey, looks like question 2, you got cut off. Would you like to redo that, right? So just make sure everything is uploaded before you get out of here and just reach out to me to make sure that it's all done. Yeah, go for it.
So when I did my virtual interview, I've only done one. It seemed like it took a really, really long time for to hit submit or continue. It seemed like it took a really, really long time for the questions to upload or the answers. And is that typical? Or?
Yeah, it depends on your connection. Because you have to remember that anytime you're uploading a video, that's a lot of information, and a connection that's slow or just being overloaded, it just might take a while. So that's another reason why we want to plan ahead and allow for that extra time, because I don't want you to be like 11:58, like, oh my gosh, it's loading, what do I do, right?
It took over 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You're uploading a video is a lot. No, that's just the connection. So for the recording, the question was, why did the questions take so long to upload? Because it does take a while. And it's just part of the process, and it just takes a while because of the amount of data that's in a video. Yeah, good question. Okay, let me get back in here. Okay, so now we have some examples. This is gonna be really, really fun. So Robert so graciously did a pretty bad interview. The question that both Robert and Dora are answering, Dora did a great job, by the way, is, right, tell us about yourself. You know, we just want to know about you and why you qualify. So you'll get to see what it's like when the hiring manager actually looks at it. If you want to have some fun, feel free to write down all the different things that Robert did wrong, because there's a lot. So we had a lot of fun with this. Oh, I might have to go to Chrome. There we go.
It's on? Okay, yeah, so tell me about yourself. First, I gotta tell you, I'm really nervous. I hate doing this kind of stuff. So I'm looking for work, and I saw this job. Yeah, come on.
in there?
Hey, excuse me, please close the door, like I'm doing this interview, and I'm doing my best to show how good of an employee I am. So cool your jets. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I want to tell you why I'm qualified for the job. One of the things is that I show up for work Monday mornings, especially. It's hard to do, you know, let's face it, if you're partying all weekend. I like fishing. See here? Oh, no, hang on. Right there, like fishing. Like to go to hockey games and just kind of a all around, you know, good old boy. So, yeah, but I think what you'd want to know about me probably is that I am fantastic at building relationships with others, communicating. Got a great history of, I understand corporate culture. I understand, I'm good with change. In fact, the last 10 or 15 jobs I've had have changed pretty quickly. Usually after a couple of weeks, they go a different direction, and I don't know why, but they don't include me in that direction. So that's okay, but I'm good at change, understand it, and really good at it. You know, it's just bothering me. So let's try that. Yeah, I should straighten it out. Anyway, don't like interviews. I'm going to be straight up. Don't like them, but I think I'm good at them. And I think that your organization would benefit greatly with having somebody like me. I will come in and make a difference. I hope you like the difference I make. Not everybody has. I need a job. Got to pay the rent. So that's why I'm looking. And pretty much, you know, if you need something done, and if, you know, if I want to do it, I will, I promise you. So that's not an issue. And then let's see, what else? Get the cow out of here. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, I just think I'd be the ideal employee. And I think this is still on.
The scary part is, individually, we've seen a lot of these things in interviews, right? So what are some of the things that you saw that you were just like, oh my gosh, besides all of it, right? What are some things that you saw that really were just big red flags for you? Yeah, not dressed professionally. Yeah, I know you're in your home and yoga pants sounds great, but really, this is an interview. You should be dressed professionally. If you have questions about that, let me know. What else did you see? Yes. Did you like my trash? That was me. I was like, oh, we got to make this as terrible as possible. There was trash. There was boxes. The whole thing was crooked. Yeah. What else did you see or hear? What was that? Yeah, he's drinking a soda during the interview. Pretty distracting. Yeah, at least it wasn't a beer, right?
It probably could have been if he wasn't on purpose.
He probably would have. Yeah, he had a great time putting this together. And a lot of red flags about what he said. I'll do it if I feel like it. Ooh, right? Did we actually, last 15 jobs, right, have all changed without me? Partying on the weekend, talking about fishing, right? So the tell me about yourself question is supposed to make us think about you in the job. We want to hear about your qualifications. We want to see how you work. We want to know why you think you're a candidate. Personal stuff, especially red flag personal stuff, really is not important for that question, right? And then again, that's a whole other topic of how to actually answer questions, and I can help you with that as well. So complete opposite direction, let's take a look at Dora's response, which we all know will be better because I don't know how you could really do worse than that. But, oh, there we go. Okay.
Hello, Hello. First of all, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to interview. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have 20 years experience working in accounts receivable in the private sector. Out of those 20 years, 8 years experience managing large groups of people. I am self-motivated, challenge-driven, and always willing to learn new things. I thrive in an environment that keeps me motivated and moving towards a common goal. One of my goals is to always find a way to help others as well as to learn from others. This has taught me not only to be open-minded, but also to understand people and situations that they might find themselves in. I believe this position is a right fit for me. My previous experience successfully leading and managing groups led me to consider applying for the Principal Executive Manager position with DCBS. From what I've learned, it sounds like you're looking for someone who will be able to lead and effectively work with other program areas within DCBS and work with a unit towards a common goal. I can do the work and deliver results. I have the skills and experience that makes me the right candidate for this job. Previous work and life experience has also given me the tools to be able to work with people in a team environment, as well as the skills to be self-motivated. I am eager to learn new things and overcome challenges. I would like the opportunity to prove to you that I have what it takes. Thank you for taking the time to interview me.
Awesome. Great job, Dora. That was an awesome answer. So what about that did we like? Yeah, so we could see her face. Robert was really backlit. She's got the background behind her, so we're not distracted by the trash, right?
She was speaking specifically to the position of being a manager and the qualities that would make her a manager.
Exactly. So I asked Dora to pretend she was interviewing for the position she has now, right? She talked about the skills, her experience, specific years of experience. She talked about the skills as they relate to the position. So there was a lot of really great stuff in there. Yeah.
The other thing, she was prepared. She wrote it down what she wanted to say, and even though you could see that she was reading it, she sold you.
Exactly. Yeah, we know that she's reading and she had some preparation, but that's okay because, again, you're more than likely going to have that opportunity in the real world. And we want to hire someone who takes that time to put the effort in and make it a good answer. Yeah?
Do we hire from the video, or do we then set up the next round? So she would definitely make a next round.
Right. Excellent question. We do not hire from the first round. The first round is just a way for the managers to decide, do we want to know more about this person? Does this person really meet the qualifications and skills we're looking for? Because as we know, in any recruitment, there's people who just kind of throw their hat in the ring and maybe aren't the best fit, but they're trying it, right? And that's okay. But we don't want to waste their time. We don't want to waste our time by having them come in for an interview, which takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy to go through. This is a quick way for a manager to assess Robert is not definitely going to that next round, and Dora is, right? Really easy. Any other comments or questions? Okay, awesome. So thank you very much, Dora, for doing that for us. That was awesome. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff. I just want to reiterate that you always have help, right? You have the interview stream customer service for technical things on their platform. You have me. We can do a lot of different things, a lot of meetings. And the staff and employee services are always willing to help you if I'm not there, right? So please be sure to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. Now, before you go for your next interview, the thing that's going to be most important is to plan ahead. So meet with Robert and I for those career counseling sessions, right? We're happy to talk to you. We're happy, even if you just want to vent about how much you hate virtual interviewing, right? I have to deal with that a lot. I get it, right? That's important. We need to express how we feel about stuff so we can get over it and get to that next part where we feel good about it, okay? Complete a virtual mock interview. So I mentioned earlier, we have a virtual mock interview. It's all set up. It takes me about 30 seconds to send it to you. It's 10 of the top questions that are asked in a first round interview. Things like, tell me about yourself. Why are you interested? What are your skills and qualifications? What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? And if you haven't thought about what those are, you might accidentally say something that maybe isn't the best representation of who you are as a worker. And that's why practicing and preparing will really come in handy. The next thing is to practice being on camera. Like I said, I know it's not fun. Definitely did not realize I would be the face of the agency for every person coming in when I got this job, but hey, you know what? It's worked out so far. So that came with a lot of practice, years of practice of being comfortable on camera, getting used to seeing my face, and getting used to talking on camera. But still, my interviews aren't like the most engaging, exciting content that you want to watch at YouTube when you get home, right? And that's okay. They get the job done. The other thing you can do is just practice your interview answers. And that's different for different people. Maybe it's helpful for you to practice in the mirror. Maybe you practice with your dog because your dog isn't going to judge you, right? Maybe you practice with your family. You can also practice with me. The beauty of that is I don't know you. So if there's something that doesn't make sense to me or something I want to hear more about, I'm going to tell you that, and I'm going to help you have it make more sense. Because the biggest mistake that people make when they're interviewing for an internal job for a company they already work for is they assume, oh, well, the manager knows me. They think I'm great. I don't have to tell them all this stuff, but that's not true. They're actually not allowed to consider that stuff. They only consider what's in the interview, and that's to be fair to the other people who haven't worked with that manager or who might be applying from the outside. So it's really important that you practice all the things that you want to say in the interview, and you bring those forward and you talk about your skills. And I know that's tough, which is why I'm saying, please come talk to me. You can also make a cheat sheet. It's like we were talking about. Dora had a cheat sheet that she was going off of. You can do that for live interviews too, and we could talk about some strategies for doing that. As long as you aren't reading from a script like this, if you have a cheat sheet, you could have it taped up, you can look at it in the interview, and then look back and answer your panel. So there are strategies to help you, because I know that interviewing is tough. So that is everything that I have for you today. We have some time for questions, so please, if there's anything that wasn't answered, something you want to go deeper on, feel free to ask me, because I'd love to address those. Oh, and if anyone has anything that they've written, did anybody write anything down? Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so you said there's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. So is it 3 minutes for the whole question, or is it 3 minutes for each try?
Good question. So the question was, is it 3 minutes for the whole question or 3 minutes for each try? It is 3 minutes for each try. So sometimes there are more than 3 questions. I try not to let managers get more than 5. So you would have 5 questions, 3 minutes each. So you'll see the countdown on the camera. It'll tell you. You can always time yourself if you're worried about that. They say that the average interview question is about 2.5 minutes. The answer, is about 2.5 minutes, which is why we gave you the full 3 minutes. And even times when customers have been cut off, the manager will still consider the rest of the interview. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Alrighty, yeah.
On the mock interview that you mentioned, do you get those results back too to provide feedback?
Yes, good question. So every single interview comes to me because I'm the one that deals with the interview stream account. Those questions do come to me, and it's really up to you how you want to use that service. So if you just want to go through it, because I'm like a person who likes to just know what the experience is, that's great. You can do that. We don't have to talk about it. If you want actual feedback, I can look at all of your answers and I can email you feedback. Or we can sit down together and we can talk about what your answers came across as, how we could improve those, how we could make those better. And that goes for in-person interviews as well, because obviously we don't hire from here. So if you get through that round, you're going to be asked for that in-person interview. We can do an in-person mock interview where I give you the questions, you come in, you sit down, I ask you, and then we go over all of those answers together. So there's a lot of ways to help practice doing a mock interview, virtual or in person. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember because it's been a while since I've done it, but when the question's asked,
Mhm.
the first question is asked and it says 3, 2, can you pause it right then? Okay, so that's what I did then, is I listened to the first question, I blew it because I wanted to write the question down, and I just took off one of my 3.
Yep.
Just so I was prepared for the second or third attempt.
Yeah, so that first question, you get the question and it immediately goes in. That is challenging. And that's what I did for my interview. And obviously it worked. I wouldn't be standing here, right? I just threw away that first attempt, wrote down what I wanted to say, did a little Google searching on some stuff because I was like, what? You know, our brain goes into panic mode when we're put on the spot, right? And that's okay. So what we can do is we can take that time to prepare. So if you want to throw away that first question, great. If you want to just feel more practiced, we can do that mock interview. We may in the future use a platform that does give you time. That's one of the big selling points that that platform has, is you can choose like 30 seconds to 5 minutes of prep time, and I really like that because, again, most people need more than 3 seconds to formulate an answer. Otherwise, you're just on camera. So I know that's challenging, but you can throw away that first one just to get yourself prepared. Yeah?
I have, this is just something that I did, but when I did mine, the first one was a disaster, and so I ended up using all 3 tries. But then when I got to the second one, I thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna try and answer this second question, and when it first comes up, and that way I can throw it away if I want to, but I don't waste a try, and I actually did answer the question, and it was acceptable, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna bother again, it's the first one, so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, sometimes that first off-the-cuff answer works really well. I mean, we're all experienced. We've all been doing our work for a while, so usually we do know the answer pretty quickly. So you can go ahead and try it, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But that way you don't throw away the try. That's a really good idea, yeah. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Yeah.
Yeah, on the, you said there's 3 buttons. One of them is review. Are we allowed to look and listen to our answer before we say yes?
Yes.
And go for it, so we can listen to the.
Yes, you can watch it exactly as it's going to be seen by the manager. Make sure you like your answer. And I recommend that because maybe we don't quite wrap it up nicely before we click, because you have to click back in the box. Like I had one lady who emailed me and was like, can you please check my answer? I think I swore at the end. I'm so scared. Fortunately, that did not happen, but she had clicked continue before she had gone and looked at it. So if you forget to do that and you just want like a second pair of eyes to make sure that you didn't do something weird, I can look at it and just make sure that it looks good. Yeah, good question. And that's the thing, oh yeah.
Do you have the ability to, like if you skip and do all 3 tries and then you get through your 3rd try, can you go back to your 2nd try because that's what you thought was the best answer? Or
No, because it doesn't save them. So I would just encourage you to try your best with that 3rd try. That one would be one where I'd probably talk to the manager about whether or not we reset it, because it's really the manager's call. I mean, if that last answer is just really bad, email me, I'll always ask for you. It just depends on that manager. I mean, the thing is we want to be fair to everyone, so we don't want to give you like 15 tries when everybody else got 3, but if something happens, we'll always at least try to work with you.
But the ones that you recorded don't stay recorded?
No, they don't get saved until you actually upload it to the system. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you skip past your first try, how is it an indefinite amount of time before, when you hit pause before you do your next one, or?
I don't know. I know I took like a good 10 minutes on one question, so if you really need that time, you can. I don't know if there's an indefinite amount of time. That's a good question. I'm going to ask them about that actually. Yeah. Yeah.
What happens if you start your interview and you never finish it all the way through?
It probably won't get submitted. So the lady I was talking to this morning, what had happened was she had answered it, not submitted it, and gone back out, and none of those questions were saved. So until you get to that submit part, nothing is saved. And then when she went back in, she had to answer them all again. So it was a little bit odd. I haven't dealt with that before, but I'm glad that I did, so I can answer stuff like that. If you don't upload it, nothing will get saved. So you will have to do it all over again. And I have had times where people did that, and then the system told them, you already answered this, too late. So that's why it's really important to just go through the whole thing, try to minimize those interruptions. Again, if something happens, I can reach out to the manager and explain what happened. And they're typically trying to be flexible about letting you try again. But don't like do that 15 times so you can keep getting tries. That's not a solution. These are really good questions, thank you. Yeah?
Is this generally used as a first round, like if to narrow the field and then you would bring that group of people in for face-to-face interviews then?
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe not for the like these questions are, like tell us about yourself and stuff like that.
Yep.
More like first round.
Yes.
To decide who they're going to bring back.
Exactly. Yeah, we do try to encourage the managers to just use this as a first round. Like maybe they have a pool of 100 and they want to see the first 20. Well, scheduling 20 interviews would probably take the whole week if they were in person. So this is a really nice way to just ask those general questions. Why are you interested? Is there anything else you'd like to tell us? We keep them really basic like that, and I try to encourage managers to keep them basic because that's really going to tell us, do we even want to keep talking to this person, right? So that's typically what a first round would look like. Sometimes the manager will also add in like a screening tool. Maybe we have you answer some questions or a quiz or type of essay, and that can be before or after, but really it's just a way to help us narrow down that pool, right? There are times where we don't do a virtual interview for the first round because maybe we only have 5 applicants, right? So it's not every single time, but it's most times, and they're mostly basic questions. If I get a really technical one, I might chat with the manager and say, hey, remember, this is just to get used to things. That question would be best reserved for a second round. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you, Technical.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Question and it was acceptable, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna bother again, it's the first one, so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, sometimes that first off-the-cuff answer works really well. I mean, we're all experienced. We've all been doing our work for a while, so usually we do know the answer pretty quickly. So you can go ahead and try it, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But that way you don't throw away the try. That's a really good idea, yeah. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Yeah.
Yeah, on the, you said there's 3 buttons. One of them is review. Are we allowed to look and listen to our answer before we say yes?
Yes.
And go for it, so we can listen to the.
Yes, you can watch it exactly as it's going to be seen by the manager. Make sure you like your answer. And I recommend that because maybe we don't quite wrap it up nicely before we click, because you have to click back in the box. Like I had one lady who emailed me and was like, can you please check my answer? I think I swore at the end. I'm so scared. Fortunately, that did not happen, but she had clicked continue before she had gone and looked at it. So if you forget to do that and you just want like a second pair of eyes to make sure that you didn't do something weird, I can look at it and just make sure that it looks good. Yeah, good question. And that's the thing, oh yeah.
Do you have the ability to, like if you skip and do all 3 tries and then you get through your 3rd try, can you go back to your 2nd try because that's what you thought was the best answer? Or
No, because it doesn't save them. So I would just encourage you to try your best with that 3rd try. That one would be one where I'd probably talk to the manager about whether or not we reset it, because it's really the manager's call. I mean, if that last answer is just really bad, email me, I'll always ask for you. It just depends on that manager. I mean, the thing is we want to be fair to everyone, so we don't want to give you like 15 tries when everybody else got 3, but if something happens, we'll always at least try to work with you.
But the ones that you've recorded don't stay recorded?
No. No, they don't get saved until you actually upload it to the system. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you skip past your first try, is it an indefinite amount of time before, when you hit pause before you do your next one, or?
I don't know. I know I took like a good 10 minutes on one question, so if you really need that time, you can. I don't know if there's an indefinite amount of time. That's a good question. I'm going to ask them about that, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
What happens if you start your interview and you never finish it all the way through?
It probably won't get submitted. So the lady I was talking to this morning, what had happened was she had answered it, not submitted it, and gone back out, and none of those questions were saved. So until you get to that submit part, nothing is saved. And then when she went back in, she had to answer them all again. So it was a little bit odd. I haven't dealt with that before, but I'm glad that I did, so I can answer stuff like that. If you don't upload it, nothing will get saved. So you will have to do it all over again. And I have had times where people did that, and then the system told them, you already answered this, too late. So that's why it's really important to just go through the whole thing, try to minimize those interruptions. Again, if something happens, I can reach out to the manager and explain what happened. And they're typically trying to be flexible about letting you try again. But don't do that 15 times so you can keep getting tries. That's not a solution. These are really good questions, thank you. Yeah?
Is this generally used as a first round, like if to narrow the field and then you would bring that group of people in for face-to-face interviews then?
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe not for the like these questions are, tell us about yourself and stuff like that.
Yep.
More like first round.
Yes.
To decide who they're going to bring back.
Exactly. Yeah, we do try to encourage the managers to just use this as a first round. Like maybe they have a pool of 100 and they want to see the first 20. Well, scheduling 20 interviews would probably take the whole week if they were in person. So this is a really nice way to just ask those general questions. Why are you interested? Is there anything else you'd like to tell us? We keep them really basic like that, and I try to encourage managers to keep them basic because that's really gonna tell us, do we even want to keep talking to this person, right? So that's typically what a first round would look like. Sometimes the manager will also add in like a screening tool. Maybe we have you answer some questions or a quiz or type of essay. And that can be before or after, but really it's just a way to help us narrow down that pool, right? There are times where we don't do a virtual interview for the first round because maybe we only have 5 applicants, right? So it's not every single time, but it's most times, and they're mostly basic questions. If I get a really technical one, I might chat with the manager and say, hey, remember, this is just to get used to things. That question would be best reserved for a second round. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you, Dr.
Yep.
Rebecca.